Hacksaw. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. No one is the Hacksaw Hour. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. No one is the Hacksaw Hour.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo. We are back for another episode of the Hacksaw Hour. And of course, you know this man right there. That is WWE Hall of Famer, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jim, what's up, man?
Marcus, it sounds like you're going to work at a salt mine. Yeah, we're going to talk to old Hacksaw. I want a little more enthusiasm,
All right,
buddy.
let's go.
Give it to me, brother. Give it to me.
Oh!
That's a pretty good hoe, I'll tell you, man. Everybody, like I said, should start the day off with a good hoe.
I'll tell you what, man. Every time we do it, I feel like I just had a cup of coffee. I'm ready to roll now.
I tell you, fire you up, man. I tell all the guys and girls out there listening to the show, if you're driving your car, if you're sitting back in your chair, give yourself a big ho!
Nobody doesn't play like you.
I have a lot of people apologizing now.
Well,
a couple guys might get an offer.
You just never know. You got to watch who you're saying ho around.
Oh.
But this week, man, we've got a really fun one because we are looking back. Gosh, it's 33 years now to Survivor Series 1990. And man, there was just so much happening there. You were part of the Hulkamaniac team, and there's some pretty interesting arrivals in the WWE at this time. Before we get into it, Jim, though, I did want to ask you about something that recently happened on AEW TV. Sting announced that he's going to be retiring after 38 years as an active wrestler. Jim, what are your thoughts on Sting hanging up the boots in 2024?
Well, what a great run the guys had. You know, I seen his whole progression from back in Mid-South where I think they were Blade Runners.
Yeah.
Him and Elwick came in down there, and Bill Watts didn't like him. He screwed him over pretty good down there where they left with a bad taste in their mouth. And then, of course, he went to down there in Georgia, and he became a huge star as the Neon Sting, which I like the Neon Sting.
Me too.
But what a professional move to switch. I mean, that was a big gamble for the guy, I would think, to switch for something that sticks with him to go into the Crow Sting with a whole different look, you know?
Yes.
That'd be like me carrying a hacksaw instead of a 2x4. That'd be a big change. And he took it, and of course, took it to a whole nother level. And everybody talks about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And, you know, she always hears Sting's name mentioned. He's one of those guys that rotate up there. He's one of the top guys. And he's a good guy. I got along good with Sting. I played a lot of cards with Sting. I'll tell you a quick Sting story. We were over in Europe, and we were doing a tour over in Europe. And, of course, the guys went out and partied pretty good. And I was with the Nasty Boy Knobs. We're out in about 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's got a time limit with Knobs, you know. Hogan's got like a 3-month time limit. I got a 3-day time limit, and I could put up with him for 3 days. Big Boss Man had a 3-second. He walked in, he'd see Knobs in the dressing room, he'd turn around and walk out, you know. Knobs would go, big fat man, where you going, big fat man? Boss Man wouldn't put up with it, right? So we're out somewhere, I think it was France someplace, and we're out partying, and he finally got on my nerves where I'm like, yeah, F you, U.S. son of a lucky I don't punch you, you know. And I went back to the hotel room, got a couple of hours of sleep, got up, went down on the bus. Sting was sitting in one seat. I sat behind Sting, and sitting across from him was with Michael Buffer, the Let's Get Ready to Rumble guy, you know. Yeah. And of course, we're sitting there waiting for everybody to get on the bus. And all of a sudden, you look down the hill, and here comes Knobsy. He hadn't been to sleep all night. He's stumbling out. He's got a beer in his hand. He's gumming down the road, banging off the building. He gets on the bus, gets in the first seat. Hey, F you, screw you, F you, boom, screws with everybody on the bus, you know. Me and Sting are talking about the card game. All of a sudden, the two Harris brothers, they get on the bus, man. Remember the Harris brothers? They were 6'5", 6'6", sleeve tattooed, ball-headed, man. They were the real deal. They get on the bus, boom, boom, boom. They light them up pretty quick. Boom, boom, boom. And you son of a bitch, boom, boom, boom. Hey, what the hell? Hey. They go to the back of the bus, you know. Yeah. Knobs got a big knot on his head already. His nose is juiced. He's still got his beer in his hand. He looks back at Sting, he goes, how did I do?
I love that he
Mike
didn't drop the
was
beer.
like this. He's like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "No," I said, "Don't worry. They could have cut his legs off. He wouldn't have felt it."
I love that he didn't drop the beard. No matter what's happening, he's like, I'm
Didn't
keeping this.
drop the beer and thought he did okay anyway. I said, "You might have bruised your hands up, Nobsy."
My God, what a character. We're
But
gonna have to
Sting,
talk more about him.
yeah, Sting. We back in the day played a lot of cards together. Good guy. Good to see him. And what a great way to hang up your boots. A lot of guys had some great send off. Some other guys, not so much.
He's definitely going out on a huge stage there in AEW, and I couldn't be happier for him either. I believe he's 64 now, so it's probably about time to quit jumping off ladders and going through tables and stuff, right?
Yeah, he was an extreme guy too. Like spent that time coming off from the ceiling and all that. That's a stuntman's job. That's not really a wrestler's job. Hey, we want you to repel from the ceiling. And then set yourself on fire.
Watching some of those too, he would come flying down from the ceiling.
Oh
and then
man, all those guys that would do that stuff. I wouldn't get on the top rope. Screw that.
Oh no, thank you.
Forget the top of the building. But Sting, what a great talent. And I don't think he had a lot of heat with a lot of guys. I think most people speak well of Sting.
Yep, pretty favorably liked around wrestling. However, you mentioned a guy who maybe isn't liked quite as much around wrestling. He was Sting's tag team partner back in the day, and now here in the fall of 1990, he is the WWF World Champion. It's of course the Ultimate Warrior. So Jim, I've talked about Ted and Jake about Warrior on a few occasions, and neither of them have really anything kind to say about the guy. I was wondering what your personal experiences were like with Warrior.
Well, like Jake, the Warrior was his own guy. You got to get, he wasn't a personable guy. He just didn't have a personality at all. His whole life was bodybuilding and diet, and that was the guy. But he was kind of obnoxious. He had to have his own dressing room. I got to have my own dressing room, which I always thought was a penalty. You're sitting in your own dressing room by yourself. Well, I'm a big shot. Everybody else is playing cards, having fun, and talking, enjoying themselves. But the story that tell a little bit about the Warrior. You had all those neon strings hanging off of them. And this is when we were doing house shows, and they didn't tape everything all the time back in the day. And it was we're doing a battle royal. Now it's Kurt Hennig, who's a good friend, Boss Man, who's a pretty good friend. Both those guys we were all good friends. Kurt and Boss Man were extra good friends. But anyway, we're all in there with the Warrior. Of course, the Warrior would down, check the ropes, had the neon strings hanging off him. So we're in the battle royal. Me and Boss Man, who Boss Man was bigger than me. I was 280 back then. We pushed the Warrior into the corner. Boom, 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 boom. We're lighting him up a little bit. Kurt drops down on the mat, rolls over on the ring apron. He reaches up, he ties one of the nylon strings to the top rope. Warrior's hanging onto the ropes, selling, right? Kurt ties. Me and Boss Man split. The Warrior's like, all right, break. Nylon, it don't break.
Oh, no.
Goes around his arm like this. The poor Warrior's in the corner. Oh!
What did he wind up doing? He probably had to slide it up out or something, right?
No. Chief Stay Strongbow came down with a pocket knife.
Oh my gosh. That probably doesn't look great in front of the live crowd.
Me, Boss, and Kurt got a free trip to Stamford, Connecticut. Yeah, it was some small show. There was nobody there, when you were working all the time back in the day. It was a different business.
Got to do something to keep yourself sane.
A lot of horseplay, especially with Kurt. Kurt was one of the best, man. It was a lot of fun to be on the road with.
Warrior, though, what did you think of him? I mean, he's been the champion here since WrestleMania. What did you think of him as the flag bearer for the company?
Oh, I thought he was a good flag bearer. Yeah, he's the type guy you want as your world champion, as your marquee guy. Guy like Hogan, a guy like Cena, You know, Roman Reigns nowadays, you want that guy that looks good, good body, talks well on camera, you know, got that charisma. He's the type guy. Even though the guy was not pleasant backstage, you know, he did his job, man. He couldn't wrestle. You know, of course, that people say, Hacksaw, what was your favorite move? I said, I kick and punch. I'm a brawler. I'm not a wrestler. Guys like Kurt and Jake and DiBiase, those guys were wrestlers. Hogan, myself, we weren't considered wrestlers.
Yeah, big difference in styles for sure. I would say that not
An
not to
understatement, brother.
not to
You should
speak
run for office.
trying to be diplomatic, not to speak ill of Warrior. I always enjoyed your work more than his, so I don't know, maybe it's a personal preference thing, but yeah, I mean, you can't deny it. The guy's got a great look, and gosh, he was certainly over with the audience. So those are two big components right there.
Yeah, and you know, it's like Vince. You know, the guy. He's my boss. He's not my friend. Warrior was the world champion. I didn't interact with him. You know, back like I said, we're all not lead singers in the band. He's up there singing. I would do my gig, and you know, a lot of guys would sit around. What, did you see the last match? No. Just about then, me and Dr. Death or Terry Gordy were pulling up to seminary.
Yeah, no, you guys were behaving yourselves, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh man.
Around this time, also, Akeem, Bad News Brown, and Rick Rude all leave the company. And Rude was just on the main event at the prior pay-per-view, which was SummerSlam. So it's a really
He was
huge...
another weird guy. He was a strange cat. Yeah, he wasn't a real personable guy. He was a big arm wrestler. He liked to arm wrestle. I guess he was an expert arm wrestler and stuff. And he had, he had the Rick, the great body and everything. Actually, one of my 8x10s I saw was me beating Rude up, and I said they put Rude in the Hall of Fame, but not after that match.
Now, what about Bad News Brown? Were you close with him?
Yeah, I got along okay with News. Yeah, thank goodness. You know, News, of course, had a bad reputation. He'd carry a weapon in his bag sometimes, because that was that generation before me, which, really came out of that carnival atmosphere where the fans were a mark and you want to work them and all that stuff, and it was before sports entertainment, where you had heat and people really hated you, walking out to your car, going out to dinner, I would have a few drinks. You're at a bar, hey, I saw you beat up Ricky Morton, you son of a... So News came from that atmosphere, but we had decent matches, and of course we worked at WrestleMania. I think I told you the story where the booger came out, man.
Yes.
It was a hell of a booger too. I flipped it over my shoulder.
Got back to work.
But I didn't really realize it. How big it was. News comes back, and I'm like, great match. You like Jesus, Duggan? I'm like, what? That was a good match, brother. He goes, oh, that booger was
And of course, it has to happen at WrestleMania. Why not?
Well, you want to stick out one way or another.
That'll get you noticed. Last guy I want to talk about is Akeem, or One Man Gang. I know that you and he had been close. Do you remember why he left the company at this time?
No, I really don't. But One Man Gang is one of my best friends. Me and as a gang, he was an impressive. I mean, back in Mid-South, I had easier street fights than lost working with Big Gang. Holy smokes. He beat the devil out of me. And of course, there's a whole deal where he ran my head into the post and almost killed me down there in Houston. But he come to my wife, his wife, and my wife are friends. I'm friends with Mary Alice, his wife. Gang and I are great friends, but there's a true professional guy. I don't know whatever the reason was he left the company. But it's like I said, as One Man Gang, he was a monster out there. But they bring him back, and they stick the Akeem deal on him, and a lot of guys, I compare it to Terry Taylor, who Terry was a very GQ, Ric Flair type of guy who dressed well. They put the Red Rooster deal on him. Even though he hated it, but he didn't embrace it, He'd go out there and half-ass scratch around, and he dyed his hair. Where if he had shaved his head and got a big red deal, cock-a-doodle-doo! You know, I mean, if he really one man gang took Akeem and took that to a whole different level and got over as Akeem. He didn't like it, I don't think. I think that wasn't really one man gang, but he made Akeem work as a true professional. Give him his TV time, he'll get himself over. That's like that with Team Canada. You just give me my time, we'll make it work. Make me the janitor, WCW. Put me on camera. If you got talent, you can work.
Yep. And he really did. I mean, he owned it with that dance routine that he would do. And
Oh yeah, him and Slick, who's Slick, another good guy. I like Slick, man. Yeah, big one man gang, and of course, I think I might have recognized him just as I pulled down the top rope at the Royal Rumble, the first one, and one man gang went flying over. Oh,
got to feel good to get that win at the Royal Rumble against one of your really good buddies too, right? Kind of the
yeah, it really was. It made me look good, you know, and that's your job out there. If you're out there doing a job for somebody, your job is to make that guy look good. And he made me look good.
Well, another recent arrival to the WWF at this time is Carrie Von Erich, who comes in as the Texas Tornado. Jim, I know that you've mentioned the huge favor that his father, Fritz, did for you by breaking you in. Did you get to spend much time around Carrie?
No, not too much. I wasn't Carrie and I, we were buddies, say hello to each other. You know, that's the atmosphere in the dressing room. You know, because wrestling is a small group of guys. You know, you all know all the wrestling. Everybody knows each other. So you have a couple of good friends, a lot of acquaintances. You say hello to, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. You see you at the bar, hey, and maybe a couple of enemies. You know, where I would say Carrie was kind of an acquaintance. Him, Boss Man, Von Erich, or Kurt and Rude were all very, very good friends. Those guys would run together like me and Doc and Gordy and Jake, Nobsy once in a while. Those four all ran, of course, and all four of them are gone too.
What a shame. Wow. Yeah, that is a real shame. I didn't even put those pieces together when you said that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to pick out four guys that aren't gone out of some of the programs, you know. It was a rough time. A lot of, as I said, a lot of drugs, a lot of booze, a lot of women. God, I miss the old days, I'll tell you.
You don't see that lifestyle much today. The guys have got their own private buses.
The kids are so much more professional. It's unreal. I was with WWE, right? I think they brought me down to Australia, and I was with Eugene, it was Eugene or Super Crazy. Anyway, I'm in Australia, and I go down to the bar, and man, of course, the Australian women, all the young girls are real excited to have all the boys there at the hotel. Everybody knows they're all dressed up. They all look great, all made up, man. You know, free booze, like hors d'oeuvres. I'm like, this is great, you know. Whole time we're having a good time. I'm looking around and no boys. I'm like, where the hell is everybody? You know? So I go upstairs, man, and take the elevator. Of course, everything's secure. You got WWE security everywhere, and go upstairs and go down the hallway. Can I hear like, hey, like, oh, party. And now the old timer knocking on the door. Hey, boys. And they're all in there like got the new Nintendo thing going. Oh, Jesus! Oh,
I knew you were gonna say it was a video game that they were playing.
Yeah, I'm like, what's wrong with you kids? Go down there, drink some booze, nail some women, kill yourself. What's wrong with you fellas? Jesus. Yeah. But no, I think the kids nowadays are much, much more professional and pretty much more athletic too. But our generation was much more creative. You know, nobody wrote Jake the Snake's character. You know, that's I just saw Slippery the other day, man. We had dinner together with Jimmy Hart in St. Louis. It was good to see Jake and Jimmy.
By the way, as we're recording this, Halloween was yesterday. I think our listeners would love to know, how does Hacksaw Jim Duggan how does Hacksaw Jim Duggan spend Halloween?
Yeah, and we live out in the country, you know. We have, and we just came off that 4-day run. We flew every day for 4 days, which was a lot. You know, we flew from home to St. Louis, back home, and then the next day to Little Rock, and then home. Better than spending the day on the road. You know, come home and spend a few hours at home. I enjoy being home. So here, yeah, we got a fence, a gate. We're 100 yards off the dirt. That's why when we had that home intruder, it was, so crazy. Here, let me show you real quick. You want to see? Can I show you?
Yeah, please.
All right. Hey, hold on, everybody. All right. Oh, there's one of my cats trying to get in.
Look at the critters out there.
And there's the pond. And you
Look
can
at
see
that.
there's a flag flying down there, I think. But
Gosh.
the road is way down there. So when we had the home intruder, we better shut the door, never get out at me. It was because nobody ever comes here,
Right.
So to have the guy come into the house and everybody's like, well, you should have shot him. I'm like, thank God I didn't shoot him. Imagine shooting somebody. I mean,
Oh, it'd be awful.
but I told you I got so much publicity from that. Knobs called me and goes, Duggan, how much you pay that guy to break in your house?
Man, what a beautiful piece of property you live on there too, Jim. But yeah, no, I can see why maybe you wouldn't get a lot of trick-or-treaters walking 100 yards up that road to come to the house.
Yeah. But people know where I live. I'm active in my community. I talk to the schools. I do a lot of charity work, of course. I did the variety telethon. Me and Deborah did the variety telethon for 20 years. And in those 20 years, Marcus, they never let me sing.
What are they thinking?
But we do it. It was in Des Moines, Iowa. We do it at downtown, the Civic Center. Excuse me, the big arena downtown, and all these movie stars and TV stars. They wouldn't get a whole lot of fans, but the wrestling fans, man, they would all come down. Oh, make the old timer feel good.
Well, Jim, here at Survivor Series, as for what you're
So
up to,
back to work. Jesus,
back
Marcus, you're worse
to
than Vince.
Sorry. As for you, back at Survivor Series, you're paired with Hogan, Tugboat, and the Big Boss Man as a member of the Hulkamaniacs headed into the big event. I know you and Hulk are still friends today, but was your arrival in the WWF the first time that you were ever around the Hulkster?
Yeah, well, no, I worked in the WWF.
Okay.
Yeah, you can YouTube it. Hacksaw, big Jim Duggan versus Hulk Hogan, man. And Hogan's Hogan, and then of course at his birthday, Hogan's been. I'll tell you the whole first. Excuse me. I was working in Texas as Big Jim with the long gold bathrobe, short hair, and red and black trunks, and I went up to New York and started working for Vince McMahon Sr. And one of the matches was with Hogan, with Hulkster, and of course he beat Fred Blasty's his manager. He beats the hell out of me. But then later in life, working in I think it was WCW, I opened up my gym. He came over and opened up my gym. I'll have to send you this picture, Mark, because I just found it. Him, Macho Man Randy Savage, Brutus and Barber Beefcake, and the two Nasty Boys opened up my gym in Titusville, Florida.
Wow.
And I got everybody a sub sandwich.
That was their payoff, a sub?
I mean, that was their payoff. I mean, that's the good friends. I mean, and back then nobody had a day off. And so, it's hard, especially Hogan, to come all the way over from Tampa. I lived on the other side of the coast. And then later in my career, when I was doing my 3-point stance, I used to dive for the clothesline, and I tore my cartilage when I landed one time.
Ooh.
And Hulkster comes up, he goes, Hacksaw, he says, why are you diving? He says, just run through it. Sounds like a good idea. Just keep running, don't dive. And of course, that string helped my longevity. Funny for the guy that would drop on his butt every night in his hip, back, and he's all screwed up. But it did help but I did work with him as with Big Jim Duggan.
How about
WWF.
When did you start to kind of become buddies with him?
Well, we're never close, buddy. I mean, I wouldn't say he's like me and Piper or me and Doc it's me or Jake even. He's in the acquaintance group.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to his house a couple of times. He's been to my house a couple of times. If I'm in, I haven't talked to him in a while. I sent him that birthday wish when he had just had his birthday.
Just turned 70.
Is he older than me?
Yeah, he just turned 70, which is
I'm 69.
Wow.
What
all right. Fred Ottman is here as Tugboat, but soon he's going to become one of the natural disasters as Typhoon. Big, impressive looking dude, but he's here dressed as a sailor and making a lot of like boat puns and yeah. What did you think about him being used in this way in the WWF?
I think they were trying to capitalize on the ho and hoop boop boop ho, but and Tugger's a good guy. I get along with him to this day, man. And him and his wife babysat our kids when they were little one time. But yeah, it didn't bother. I thought he was a good. He was a decent guy, nice and good enough guy. And I thought there's an awful lot of weight in that ring, though. I'll tell you.
Oh my gosh. And look, much like Akeem, it's, maybe not great creative, but the guy just owned it and he did it to the best of his ability. And
Another
it's all you can
example.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, he's noted forever for wearing that in Crash and Sue and taking the bump with the helmet on there, right?
Yes, the Shockmaster.
Yeah, which he owns that too. Which I think he gets more residuals from that than all the other stuff.
Rumor has it that he does pretty well on photo ops as the Shockmaster nowadays. So good for him, man, making the best of a bad situation.
A
Jim,
lot of times, I think he just puts that hood on somebody else and goes as lunch.
I don't know if there's a lot of guys his
Somebody
size
knows. I'll
roaming
take a
around.
picture with me. Yeah. I lost some weight.
It shrank about 8 inches. Jim, I know that you're the consummate professional, as we've discussed here before. You do pretty much anything that the office drew up for you. If Vince had pitched to you Tugboat Duggan and wanted to dress you as a sailor coming in the door, would you have gone for it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
I wanted to be part of the show. Yeah, like I said, but I don't think it would have worked.
probably
And
not.
I think I wouldn't have been up there if I wasn't Hacksaw, because the Hacksaw was just the board, the flag. That's just who I am.
Mhm.
If you don't want me, then you're not going to put me in another character.
It's
Back when
interesting.
I had that trouble with the Sheik. Did I have trouble with the Sheik? I'm not sure, but anyway, when I
Once
had,
upon a
had
time.
that trouble with the Sheik, and they were just in the early stages. I said, well, maybe put me in the mask or something, and Vince was like, no, that ain't going to work. So it's not like they were going to put something else on me. Because I wasn't a great wrestler. I was Hacksaw.
Vince knew what he had with you as Hacksaw. I saw the equity in that character, which is interesting because, like I said, he brings in Carrie Von Erich and he's the Texas Tornado. Kurt Hennig is now Mr. Perfect. It's, Vince wanted to own this intellectual property of these guys that he would bring in, but with you, he just let you be Hacksaw, which is pretty
Or
cool.
Jake. He did Jake's Jake.
Yep, Jake the Snake, which he was in Mid-South. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that, he'll see the value in some guys and say, go ahead.
Teddy, of course, and of course, when you leave WW, you lose that character. When Boss Man went to WCW, when Big Bubba Brutus went down there, he had to change his gimmick.
A few times.
Macho, yeah, man. Brutus, yeah, he's a survivor, hard to stick around, man. And shit, do what you need to do to hang on.
Yep.
They've been stomping on my fingers for years. I was like, no, I'm still here. Get that old timer out of here. What the hell? Oh,
your team will be taking on the team of Earthquake, Haku, Dino Bravo, and the Barbarian at Survivor Series. But on the way to the big show, it's looking like you're getting ready to start a program with a different heel who's absolutely red hot. We've got a great clip this week, Jim. I'm excited to see your reaction to it.
You should be saluting the Iraqi flag. Now, salute the Iraqi flag. I said salute the Iraqi flag. Oh, no. I said salute the Iraqi flag. Santana just spit on the flag. Tito just spit on the Iraqi flag. Slaughter spearing Tito Santana into the abdominal area, just like Hussein. Lance, Kuwait. Sergeant Slaughter jamming it. Wait a minute. Here comes Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Duggan with a 2x4. He takes down the flag. Charges on the outside. Away from the 2x4. Sergeant Slaughter. But yes, there you see Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the Iraqi flag in hand. Coming over to help Tito Santana out. Sergeant Slaughter once had enough to retrieve what's left of that Iraqi flag, but right now it's in the best hands I've ever seen it in. Why doesn't Slaughter go and get the flag himself? Oh, yes! Yes! Understand one I see many people of different religions, but I see just one thing: Americans!
Look at that
All right.
reaction.
Americans! Brave Americans and loyal Americans! And when I think of all our brave men and women in the Middle East, so close to war, there's no way I'm going to let you desecrate my country, my people, or my flag. God bless America, USA!
Holy
Jim,
smokes, man.
you got me
I got
fired up.
goosebumps watching that, man. Holy, that was a yeah, you don't write that stuff. That's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You don't get, hey, here's your verbiage for your interview. That's not verbiage from your interview. That's from your heart. That's what was different back then. It was from the heart. You're not some 20-year-old kid coming up. Here, this is what we like you to say. That's what's different about the business.
Man,
That
like
one got me fired. They should play that today. They should play that today on the damn news. Jesus Christ.
Jim, it
Sorry.
got me fired up. No, please. This is, I love your passion because I felt the same way whenever I watched that. I started getting
Dude, you see
goosebumps.
those people in that arena?
Yes.
They were all together. God, we
Incredible
need
reaction.
that now. We need that now. Jesus.
Yep. Need people to be as passionate. And I mean, for your
God
part,
darn, that was, I don't know where you found that, Marcus, but that was great. Holy smokes. I haven't seen that. Man, that was good. Jeez.
it was phenomenal, Jim. Really an
That's
incredible.
got to be one of my best interviews. I'm not a big interviewer, guys. Like, I'll beat you up, tough guy. But geez, that was from the heart, man. Geez, that was from the heart. We could use that today. God help the country.
And it was all off the cuff, which is what's really incredible to me is that you just went out there and you had this message in your heart and you just brought it out there and like,
That's what I mean. You don't write that stuff. You just go out there and say what's on your heart. And that's like we were talking earlier. They didn't bring me up to put a different gimmick on me. They brought me up to that guy.
Man, awesome. I'm gonna share it online because
Cool.
that was something else.
That
And
was yeah, shit. I'll have to boost that one. There's a little boost button, right?
there it is. We'll get it boosted. It deserves it for sure. And really, that promo could not have come at a better time. Of course.
Gosh, I mean, like it's perfect. Good job finding that, brother. Holy smokes!
Oh, thank you.
They should stick that out there. I mean, God, and you see other people reacted to that.
Yep.
What a great heel Sarge and the Aknon were too. I mean, I see Sarge quite a bit. I like Sarge. That was the first big thing I ever tried to get out of was the Cobra Clutch.
Did you get out?
And Big Jim Duggan to get up to WWF, with short hair, clean shaven, a long gold bathrobe. Like, this is a big deal. They're like, who challenge? I challenge anyone. They're like, young kid, get out there. And I got in the folding steel chair and Sarge locked it in on me, and I fought like hell. And
didn't quite get out. Weren't quite ready yet.
But that was huge. I mean, that was a big part of something you remember. The first big deal I did, instead of just getting beat 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, set up some more chairs, kid. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go out there and kind of hang in there for a little bit and try to fight out of it. You weren't just like a rag doll in his arms, which is kind of a cool way to
yeah. I was a pretty, that's what they, because I couldn't work at all. I broke in Texas. I hit the ropes a few times, like, okay, and I was with Gino Hernandez, and somebody didn't show up. They're like, you got your gear, kid? I'm like, yeah. And they threw me in the ring. And then I went up to visit my pop up in Glens Falls. My mom had passed. I went up to visit my pop. And my dad knew Arnie Skolin. He goes, hey, my kid wrestles. And he's like, go bring him down. I was a big guy. They put me in with Moose Morawski at the Glens Falls Civic Center. And like, holy smokes, bring this kid down to TV. Patera beat me. Pisky beat me. Sarge beat me. Hogan beat me. Like, this kid is great.
I'm surprised that they didn't want to offer you a contract right then and there because you are a big guy and you're like a legit athlete.
Contract, brother. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, you were green. You were green,
A
but
contract. The contracts didn't show up to WCW, man. At least for me.
oh,
I don't know if everybody else was getting contracts. Somebody smartened me up to something.
well, you had like that weird downside guarantee of like $1,500 a year or something, right? Where it was like they would
That's
only,
about at $1,500 a year. You're not kidding. That was about right.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
your only
No,
guarantee.
it was. I had like a $3,000 a week guarantee in Mid-South because when of course Dog left, that elevated me to the top babyface down there. And then Jake went up for WrestleMania. Dog went up for WrestleMania 1. Jake went up for WrestleMania 2. So Watts was trying to keep me down there. He gave me a good guarantee. But once I went up to New York, no, there was no contracts. You wrestle, you got paid. You didn't wrestle, you didn't get paid. And that's why you guys you work through injuries, anything, because that's when you made your money.
Not a lot.
And then when
calling off sick.
WCW started, they revolutionized the business. Turner started offering contracts, and that was my first signed contract. Is when I went down to WCW.
Oh wow! So with Bill Watts, it wasn't a signed contract; it was like a handshake arrangement.
No, yeah, now you put me on the spot. I'm not sure, probably, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't remember, buddy.
That's
I was
right.
living with Doc back then. Are you kidding?
Surprised you can't remember anything.
Deborah. I brought Deborah in from the Carolinas. Holy smokes! I won't tell you that story.
Don't worry, I don't want you to get heat here on the Hacksaw Hour.
Yeah, you get the heat, brother. She knows you too.
Oh no, you'll fade it to me. Slaughter was in his role here, of course, as this Iraqi sympathizer, and I mean, just nuclear heat he was getting.
What heat he had? Well, you got what? We're going to war.
Yep.
And the country was united. It looks like we may be going to war now, but we're not united. And back then, man, everybody knew we were going to war. And Sarge, he had a lot of heat. Like I say, they had that private security. They had security at home. They had a lot of death threats. And of course, a big tactic back in the day was leave in the back of the ambulance.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So the heels, or even the baby faces sometimes, because sometimes the audience was. But actually, Deborah and I were at MSG leaving the garden. We were in the back of the ambulance because the fans were just jam packed out there, and we got about halfway out, and they got a call.
Oh no!
They're like, you gotta get out. We're like, what the? And now the fans are like, it's Hacksaw Duggan, and they get kind of grabby back in the old days. And we tried to get into a cab with a lady. She's like, no, she shut the door. But yeah, that's the way to get away in the old days was get in the back of the ambulance. Because if you were healed, they'd rock your car sometimes, man. I used to ride with a referee named Ricky Farrar. Little referee came to my wedding. He was actually an usher in my wedding. A good referee in Mid-South, and he was a sour little Frenchman. He hated everything. He hated the Pope. How about the Pope? He hated everything. He had his old beat-up car. We drive down to New Orleans, and this is when we did the gorilla suit, beat up the dog, and we're driving down there, and there'd be just lined with fans that would roll down the window and go, "Hey, none of you little bastards better throw any rocks at this car." Bing, bing, bing.
I'm sure he was ready to kill you.
Oh yeah. Wrestling humor.
Oh, hilarious.
Gosh, he used to always put the loads in his cigarettes.
So they would blow.
He was such a Frenchman, What was even better though when he come in the next day and be home, his wife's name was Glenda. Glenda. They both eat in bed.
Oh, amazing. Well, Jim, we can get to the Survivor Series here. It's in Hartford on Thanksgiving Day 1990 in front of 16,000 fans. Working on Thanksgiving, Jim, and you're all the way out there in Hartford. Something that would bother you, or by this point?
No. You're like a cop when you're in entertainment, sports too. You work when everybody else is off, holidays, weekends. Yeah, Deborah and I, we had many a Thanksgiving dinner at the Waffle House. It's just part of the business. So Yeah, I've been in the ring and did the countdown at New Year's Eve at Mid-South, so
Wow.
just another day at the office. And that's the way my family celebrates things. It's not the date on the calendar. It's when we're all together.
Okay, so you'll
Even now,
Cam.
now it's harder when my daughters are grown. They're in Florida, so but we still have our birthdays and stuff when we all get together.
Okay, so back in the day, it used to be like maybe you won't be able to celebrate on Christmas, but like you can celebrate the day after, the day before Christmas, and that's your Christmas.
Maybe like a week later with Vince. As everybody was off. That's when everybody else is off, you want to have your shows. That was a big time when vacation time, Christmas time. So you'd work Mid-South. You'd work 9 times in 7 days. You'd have your double shot. Vince would run double shots.
Oh man.
Yeah, sometimes 6 shows in 3 days. Yeah,
I mean, you're still a young fella at that time. I mean, are you exhausted at the end of it, or how do you feel when you're working that kind of a crazy breakneck schedule?
Well, you didn't work the style the guys work nowadays. You picked your matches. Like I said, when we tied up the Warrior, it was maybe 50 people. Well, that's an exaggeration, but it was a small house. You work a headlock a lot. Look at this chick over here. Throw me out of the ring.
Give me a little closer.
We're at the Marriott. That's Ricky and Robert, those guys. Are you kidding? I roll out of the ring, you'd be like,
Man, those guys, I have heard some wild stories about those two over the years, Ricky and Robert.
And Sean and Marty, those real pretty boys. Never mind.
I'm sure they had them.
But they'd be lined up in the hallways back in the day. You just look for the overflow.
The second match on this night is Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Team facing Dusty Rhodes' Dream Team, and Ted has been teasing a mystery partner. Well, it would turn out to be the moment that would go down in history because it's the WWF debut of The Undertaker. Jim, what do you remember about first impressions of The Undertaker here?
Yeah, I thought it was a good gimmick. Yeah, I didn't. Who would have ever thought that guy would have the best run of anybody? Better than Hogan, better than Flair, better than anybody. Undertaker is Undertaker. I do when I do Comic-Cons and stuff. I ask the fans, who's your favorite wrestler besides the Undertaker? Undertaker. I said, who do you like? Undertaker. So yeah, he a huge talent, but a very good guy. Instrumental in the evolution of wrestling, and I got along good with him. I'll tell you the Undertaker story.
No, please.
We got time, brother? It's a
yes,
long
sir.
one.
No, absolutely.
Well, it's when, like I said, it first comes in. We're out west somewhere. It's a big house, and Undertaker's coming to the ring, and he looked pretty excited, to say the least. He was pretty fired up. And, I'm doing my bullshit, and he rolls in the ring, and I think Paul Bearer was with him, and I knew Percy for a while, and he's kind of giving me the giggy, and the match starts, and Taker's got me, and he grabs me by the throat, and he pins me over the top rope, and he starts choking me, and I'm like, loosen up, brother. I'm giving him the office, loosen up, brother. I'm like, loosen up, brother. What the hell? Loosen up. So, I'm starting to get the white flashes from lack of oxygen going off.
No.
So sorry. For some reason, beyond me, I would grab him. You got that long red hair, right? I grab him by his hair and I pull his hair up. I got his hair. I go, you look like a devil. You got devil hair. And he's like, what? I said, you look just like a devil. You got devil hair, brother. What the hell? And so now, he calms down a little bit. And we have the rest of the match and everything. We joke about it for a little while. And now that was, when he's the newcomer, and I'm kind of the old timer established guy. Now we're going to fast forward 30 years where he's the Undertaker. They're bringing me, an old timer, into the WWE. They got me teamed with Super Crazy or Eugene, and giving Lita the hoe. And so it's the Royal Rumble time. So they're going to bring me in for the Royal Rumble. Excuse me. An old timer, so I don't know what number I am, whatever number. They play my music, I come out, ho, I get my little pop, ho, you know. And at the Royal Rumble, you got, maybe a minute to shine, and then you got to shine in that 1 minute. So you really got to get all your stuff in that 1 minute. The camera's on you. I'm ready to go. I went down. I roll into the ring. I'm ready to go. I jump up. Who's standing in front of me? Undertaker.
Oh boy.
There's no way Taker's going down. I mean, he's the Undertaker, man, So I'm like, oh, shit, I give him a shot. He goes, I give him a shot. I give him a shot. I give him a shot. He goes, give me the big one, hacker. I'm old school. I got to wind up. Right. I wind up. Boom. I hit the big Taker. Boom. He goes down. Holy shit.
All right.
I'm like, yeah, right. Now everybody else comes feed me. Boom. He goes down. Boom. He goes down. Boom. They're feeding me like a son of a gun. And boom. Boom. Big Show snatches me up in the air. I'm like, Show. I can see the whole arena from up here. He's like, get out of here, Doug. And he throws me out of the ring, So I go back and I go through the curtain. And Vince is sitting there at the desk. And I go through the curtain. And Vince goes, hey, Hacker, come here. I said, yes, sir. He goes, that was a hell of a sign of respect those kids showed you out there. And he said, yes, sir. I realized that. It really was. It was something special. So that night, they have the big after party with all the carved ice and all the fancy dance stuff going on. And I see Taker over there in the corner. And I went over. I said, hey, Take. I said, thanks so much for taking that first bump. Man, everybody followed you, set me up. He goes, nothing's too good for devil hair. 30 years later, he kind of repays the favor. Yeah.
The devil hair. Wow.
Yeah, he kind of helped me out there. So that's the kind of guy he is.
He's coming in the door here and really impressive look, and he's being paired with a guy who's kind of a red hot heel himself, and that's Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, who's now got a role in front of the camera as opposed to being a writer or producer. So when you were working with Bruce in your Mid-South days, did you ever picture him as being a guy who could work in front of the camera instead of behind it?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. He was Mid-South. He was kind of go do all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I think once he got the opportunity, he was around it enough. So he saw it. I think he just absorbed it if you're around it. And that's why I came in cold. I was never around it, never watched it. It was a huge stretch for me where he was in the dressing room all the time. And actually, I left my car at his apartment one time on one of my Japan trips. And they were trying to steal my wheels, and they caught the guys in front of his apartment. Just a little. If you ever see Bruce, say hey. But yeah, we always talk about that. We're not very close at all, especially when he was in head of talent relations. Hello, Bruce. Hello.
When he's calling, it's not always a good thing.
Yeah. But that's a tough job to have, head of talent relations.
He is a hilarious guy and kind of fit pretty well in front of the camera.
The Brother Love thing works. Yeah, I like that. I thought it worked well. Yeah.
Well, rumor has it, though, that back during his Mid-South days, he was a bit of a partier. And I know that you were no stranger to a good time.
It'd be easy to pick out who wasn't a partier back. I don't know. Who was he? Jesus.
I was just wondering, do you ever happen to be in the same place as Bruce when he's in party mode in Mid-South?
No, that's like I said, Bruce would be with DiBiase and Terry Taylor and Ric Flair at the Fancy Dan Disco. Me and Doc and Gordy are down at the place painted black, cigarette smoke.
And pounding on the door.
You owe clubs. Me. Yeah. He owes me. Oh, thanks, brother. You brought that up. You're feeling good enough to bring that up.
I couldn't let that one slip by. So when your match comes up, it's pretty early night for you, as you'd be the second one eliminated after hitting Earthquake with your 2x4. So it's a DQ. The Hulkamaniacs find a way to hold on, and Hogan winds up winning it all in the end. Jim, after the build-up to this big match, you've done a ton of promos, and there's like all kinds of hype surrounding this match. Are you disappointed when you're told you're getting eliminated early, or are you glad to be able to leave the building sooner?
See, I was really disappointed, brother. I was hoping I'd get the belt.
You see how I worded that? I was like, I
Yeah,
know he was
I got my
psyched.
payoff. I did my job.
Yeah. I had a feeling it's like, hey, good early night.
Oh,
Well, look, Jim, we've discussed a lot of interesting stuff so far today, but let's
that's
get
a
to the
matter of
reason.
opinion.
Let's get to the reason we're really here, Jim. Yes, the Undertaker's debut is big, but there was nothing bigger than this debut. Let's have a look.
Sounds to me right now, the speculating is all over. Oh, stand back.
Oh, look at the
Stand
crunch.
back. I think that egg is ready to blow.
Oh, there it is. What is it?
What in the world?
I
Oh my God.
Listen to the crowd.
What?
Oh,
What in the world is this?
I don't know what it is.
Take a
Ron.
look at it, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. You're looking at me like
Gene's
I know
trying to
what- I
make
don't
it
know what
work.
it is.
Doing his best.
A little rooster tail up on top. I don't know. He got a pair of legs like my mother-in-law, pal. Look at the feet on this thing. I can't believe. What in God's name is this? Holy. What? What is with the gobbledy? The gobbledygook. Don't tell me you're the Gobbledy Gooker.
He is the Gobbledy Gooker, Jim. What did you think?
oh. Yeah, I don't know what you could have come out of that egg that would have got a pop.
Like,
No matter what. But yeah, that was Hector Guerrero, right? I think that was Hector.
it was Hector
Hector was
Guerrero.
a buddy of mine. I got along with, of course, the great Guerrero wrestling family. I got along good with Hector, but yeah, that really laid an egg. Why not? It was bad. The fans didn't buy it, but I don't know what you could have, come out that would have worked. Marilyn Monroe, maybe, or some hot chick in a bikini, because there was no Bruno.
If that
Bring
would
old
work.
Bruno back. I don't know what could have come back as out of an egg. But there's another example. They'll try anything. WBF. Remember the WBF? He tried the bodybuilding.
Yes.
Tried the XFL. I mean, he tried the gobbledygook. The guy, the risk taker, and he tried the WWF back in the day to take it worldwide. So, not everything's a home run, and that was more than a foul ball. Ball.
Man, you could really hear the crowd die as soon as that because they'd been building it up like, oh, what's going to
They
come out of
built
the
up
egg?
to hell. I mean, they build it. There's no way. Like I said, who could have come out that would have got the pop that they build up that much? I mean,
Short of Ric Flair, like I don't know who's going to get a big pop coming out of an egg
yeah,
for their
I don't know
debut.
if Rick could get it in an egg.
Can't quite picture it.
Yeah, nah, maybe, they could stick me in an egg. Yeah, that'd be okay. Put me in a janitor suit. I don't Flair, go for the egg deal.
I just want to paint a full picture for our listeners here, though. So, just a few years prior to this, Jim, you were in Mid-South and you were in these bloody brawls, dog collar matches, coal miners glove match, these gritty storylines. What do you think Bill Watts would have thought of the gobbledygooker coming out of a egg?
Oh yeah, all those old timers hated that. I mean, those were the guys. Those are hard nosed guys. Even kids that wanted to break in, I said they would work over. They had the Watts. If you lost a bar fight, you get fired. I mean, those guys had a whole different mentality about the business, and they really wanted to protect the business. So if somebody think it's fake, well, sign the waiver. You come up in the ring with us, and we'll show you if it's fake or not. Tough guy, So you had to once in a while run across the local tough guy. You'd have 2 or 3 beers. I think I can take one of you guys.
Oh boy.
Here's Steve Williams. Roll around with Steve for a little while. He's not our champion, but he's the NCAA wrestling champion. And then Steve would stretch the kid a little bit, and then Bill would get in there and hurt the guy. Put him to sleep.
I have heard the stories.
And what's his name? Bill Watts. Gagne. I mean, Gagne worked over an old timer at the nursing home. Holy shit, right? Stu Hart up at the dungeon in Calgary. I mean, it was a different business, different time, as it was for us. as it is now for those guys out there wrestling now. It's a different business. So I went to a show the other night. I did was at the in Indy they had going on, and I tell you, the boys are the boys. No matter what generation, no matter what country you're in, I always go back if I'm at an indie show and see the boys take some pictures and tell dirty stories.
Well, Jim, you brought some great stories today. We're just going to hit a few member questions and then we'll call it a day.
Cool, buddy.
First up, we've got Craig Usher, who asks, what is your favorite memory of working with Hulk?
Geez, I didn't really work with him that much, tell you the truth. You know, we were both baby faces most of the time. I can't really, I know they teamed us up a few times at some shows, but I really don't, because we were both baby. But I remember when I first came into WWF, and we did a show at the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. I think most of the buildings I wrestled in, they've torn down. But I was out there and I wrestled and I had the people rocking, man. And I'm like, Hacksaw was Hacksaw. And I came back to the dressing room and I was like semi-main, you know. And I'm like, let those guys follow that, brother. That was it. Hulkster goes out there. Boom! I'm like, oh, that's a little different. And he's doing this gimmick. So, yeah, I respect Hulkster's Hulkster, man.
When you worked with him the first time in the WWF, I mean, did you see this guy's going to be a huge star?
No, I was scared to death. I didn't think of nothing, but I hope I get out of here without my pants. My God, I had a mustache back then. I kept twisting my mustache. I was so nervous. You know, football, you got 10 other guys around you. You got a helmet, your shoulder pads. You know, the fans are 50 yards away from you. You're, hey, huddle up. Wrestling, you're in a pair of short shorts and patent leather boots. The fans are sitting right there. You feel like a stripper, right? The fans are sitting right there looking at you like, oh, my God, this is horrible. You can see quite a transition from Big Jim to the Hacksaw at the Mid-South Hacksaw, and then the transition from the Mid-South Hacksaw to the King of Wrestling Hacksaw. There's been a whole evolution over time.
Last question. Matt S. asks, what was the locker room reaction like to the Gobbledy Gooker? Do you remember how
pretty much the fans' reaction? Yeah, I don't think the guys knew what was going on either. I think they kayfabed the boys on that. Yeah, that was a shocker for everybody.
Rumor has it that the idea was that Hector was going to come in and be like kind of a mascot in that suit, but then also be a wrestler for the WWF. So he was going to have two jobs with the company. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they probably could have better used a guy like Hector Guerrero. He's really talented.
Yeah, Hector, Chavo, Eddie, you know, the Chavo Jr. I mean, just the whole wrestling family. Great wrestling and good wrestling. I still got a scar on my head from Chavo. Son of a
What did Chavo do?
Steel chair. You're supposed to hit with the seat of the steel chair. It's flat.
Oh, no.
The other side, yeah, you get a little scar on your head to remember every time you comb your hair.
Well, was that in the WWF or WCW?
Mid-South. He hit me with a chair.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was thinking Chavo Jr. It's Chavo
senior. Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, Jim, this episode was an absolute blast. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Before we go, Marcus, I got to tell you, brother, and you'll see the pictures coming up. I got to get the pictures to you. But Deborah enters the state fair every year in baking. This year at the South Carolina State Fair, my wife won 1 blue ribbon and 3 red ribbons, second place ribbons for her baking. Her pecan pie won blue ribbon in South Carolina, which is a big one. Her pumpkin pie, second place, and 2 of her cookies got second place. I tell you, I go down and help her drop off that stuff at the judging. I'd rather be in a battle royal. Oh, them old ladies that give me the elbow. I'm like, I'm just dropping stuff off, lady. I don't know. But I got to put her over. I used to joke to her back in the day when I was heavy about her cooking. She's like, stand up.
Good for her, man.
I hope you feel better, Marcus.
Oh, thanks, Jim. And hey, congrats to Deborah. That is awesome. I know that.
Yeah, I'll send you the pictures. You can post them for me.
I will. I know that if my wife was an award-winning baker, I'd probably weigh about 350 pounds right now.
Well, after all the other stuff, I'm looking, you know, I've been like this, 1, 2, oh.
And nobody can keep Hacksaw down, man. And we'll look forward to doing another one here in a couple of weeks. And we'll catch you guys next time right here on Ad Free Shows with the Hacksaw Hour.
Thanks, everybody.